Hi and welcome on this Fritz Trainer DVD. I will talk about the Pirc Defence, and let me introduce myself first. I'm a French GM, Fabien Libiszewski. So the Pirc Defence is an opening I started to play more than 10 years ago. I was quite happy to add it in my opening repertoire because it's an interesting opening to play for a win with black pieces, because it's a double-edged opening in which you might face some attack against your king or in the center, but you will find some counterplay, and yes, it's always interesting if you need to play for a win and trying to score important points in tournaments. If you want to win the tournament, or maybe making some norms or whatever. So Pirc Defense starts after e4, d6, d4, so white grab the center, knight f6 attacking the pawn on e4, usually white protects with knight c3, and then we play g6. So the idea is to develop the dark square bishop in the fianchetto, and then probably to castle with black. And then we will adapt ourselves on what setup white will choose, and we will choose to play with maybe e5 or c5, or to push pawns on the queen side. So we have to prepare b5. So sometimes we play with c6 to prepare b5, other time we play with a6. But we shouldn't play the same and doesn't have a look at what white is playing. Depending on the setup they will choose, we will have to adapt. So the three main setups are bishop e3. White's idea is probably to play with long castle. So bishop e3 prepares queen d2. So like this, white puts the bishop first and then the queen to make a battery, and probably go for some bishop h6 to exchange our bishop in the fianchetto and to weaken our king. And so yes, they want to play queen d2, long castle, f3, and g4, h4, and to attack. So this is a very aggressive setup. Another aggressive setup is f4, which is called the Austrian attack. White put all the pawns in the center and probably wants to play e5 in the next moves. So we have to be aware how to face this move. So we will analyze all this in the theoretical part of the DVD. And of course, white can also simply develop with a very logical and calm move, knight f3, then play bishop e2 and short castle, which is a safe line for white, and they want to play for a slight edge with more space in the center. So this is the three main lines for white, and we will see how to face this. I will recommend some lines for you. But as I said, depending on what white will choose, then we will adapt ourselves. So we have to be aware of what they are doing and try to anticipate white's plan. So with black, usually if you have time, you will go and play to g6, bishop g7, castle, and then you will have choice on how to put your pawn. So one good idea is to play e5, and then one more time white can react when you play e5. They can exchange the pawn, then we can have some kind of symmetrical pawn structure like this. They can, of course, push the pawn, and it's more like somehow a King's Indian pawn structure. So when it's like this, you can attack on the king side, maybe prepare a pawn break with f5, or some other time with c6. And of course, white can maintain the tension, and okay, they would have played some moves. I played several moves with black, but something like this. And in this case, you can protect the pawn on e5 and keep the tension, which is similar as some e4, e5 openings like Italian games or Rui Lopez. Or you can also, of course, exchange on d4 and try to put some pressure on the e4 pawn. And this pawn structure is more likely Pirc Defence, I would say. So as you can see, just with the move e5, you can face several pawn structure, and you have to know others, because of course you can also attack the center with c5, and this time again white can close the position, which looks like some Benoni pawn structure, or they can protect the pawn, and then if we exchange on d4, it looks like a Sicilian defense, dragon lines, accelerated dragon, or normal regular dragon, let's say. So as you can see, you can have many pawn structure possible in the Pirc Defence. So that's a good point, because you can choose how to react, what to play, but you also have to work and have some knowledge about chess and know some classical games. And if you have all this, then it's a very good idea to play the Pirc Defence, because your opponent might not be completely ready to face this opening. I mean, they will know how to put their pieces, but I guess, and I can tell from my own experience, that white players are prepared on the opening they are likely to face most. So let's say e4, e5, e4, c5 Sicilian, for sure. Then French or Caro-Can. And only then they work to face some more, let's say, less often play opening, like the Pirc Defence, the Scandinavian, the modern defense, or the Pirc. And then, so they are not very well prepared usually. So that's how you can trick them and bring them to your own territory. And that's interesting. And that's also why I suggest that you mix sometimes the move order and to avoid a big preparation, because I have to say that computer likes white position. He likes having space, actually. But in practice, I'm convinced that it's a good choice. And but of course, it could be a good idea, as I said, to avoid to play always the same position as the same move order, as they could prepare and have deep preparation. And also, I want to say, so you can play with e5, c5, and also I mentioned you can push the pawn on the queen side. So you want to play b5, so you have two options to manage. You can play with a6, which is usually my favorite setup, and go b5. So the idea, of course, is to play b4 to attack the knight on c3, which is the piece who protect the pawn on e4, but also to develop the light square bishop on the other long diagonal. We will make maybe two fianchetto, and to add pressure on white center. And by the way, you keep flexible, so you can play with e5 or c5, depending on the next moves. And of course, you can also play with c6 to play b5, or maybe also to bring the queen into play, maybe on a5 to pin the knight on c3, maybe on c7 to prepare e5, or sometimes even on b6 to attack d4 and b2. So yeah, very flexible opening. And that's why I planned to show you first some games I like, to see different kind of position who can arise in the Pirc Defence, so that you start to have some knowledge and some plans, and to feel the position. And only then we will have a look at the theoretical part, and I will give you a repertoire. And as I mentioned, it will be good if you learn it, but also if you look by yourself to add some lines, some move order. Maybe I will show it at the end of the DVD. You can also play the modern defense, which is very similar to the Pirc, but with some minor difference. And the main one is that you keep the knight on g8 to start, then you go bishop g7, and sometimes the knight will go out, but sometimes he will stay on g8, so that you can see if white plays with bishop e3 and queen d2, you control the h6 square. So it might be interesting. One reason why I'm showing you mainly in this DVD the Pirc move order is that white might choose here to go c4, and I believe that the best way to deal with it with black is to play the King's Indian defense, which is a good opening, and I played it with black, but maybe it's not your case, and I can't show you a repertoire when you can be tricked after 3 moves and get out of your opening repertoire against 1d4. But if you're a King's Indian player, that might be a good idea to play also this move order. Anyway, I'm done with this introduction, and now we'll analyze some game to show you how Pirc games can go.